the issues affecting Asia's animals and the stories of the people working on their behalf. We'll be taking you on a tour of what's been happening lately in the animal protection space around Asia and also bringing you updates from our huge network of animal protection organizations and our many working groups. Welcome to the Asia for Animals podcast.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Dog and Cat Conversations. This week, we hear from the charity Nowzad about their important work to help animals suffering in conflict zones. My colleague Lynn recently caught up with their founder, Pen Farthing, and Chief Veterinarian Dr. Ahmad Rashad. So check this one out.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Could you please share with us about the Nowzad current activities in Ukraine and Afghanistan at the moment?
Okay, yes, I'd love to. I'm Pen Farthing. I'm the founder of Nowzad as a charity. And Nowzad, although we left Afghanistan when the Taliban retook power in 2021, we have thankfully been able to restart our activities led by our super head veterinarian, who you're going to talk to in a moment, Dr. Rashad. And so Nowzad now currently operates the first and only 24-hour animal hospital in Kabul. And so for us, we're super proud of what we've been able to achieve after the time in 2021 when we actually thought we were, it was over. Our dream in Afghanistan to bring animal welfare, we thought that had ended. So Nowzad is back, and back probably now better than we were before. We've learned a lot of lessons, and we've put a lot into place to make us so that now we've got a 24-hour animal hospital led by Dr. Rashad, who I think can probably tell you more about what happens each day than I can.
Hello, everyone, and I'm Dr. Rashad, Senior Veterinarian of Nowzad Hospital. The activities that we are doing in Afghanistan are, first of all, regarding animal welfare. We are doing awareness and education people and students against rabies disease, which is spreading day by day. And we are trying to just break that chain of the rabies disease and as well as animal welfare. And we have quite noticed the changes here. Like 2 weeks ago, we rescued a dog and we received a call and they informed us about the dog it was snowing and he was hit by a car. People tried to help him and give him a shelter by providing from plastic until our arrival. So that is a big change that we have noticed. So one of our work is education and awareness against animal welfare and rabies disease. And another activity that we are doing is providing animal care hospital, that we are rescuing animals in need, animals who are injured, and also who needs intense care. So we rescue that animal, bring it out of hospital, and treat them. And as well as we provide a shelter for dogs and cats, and even for equines, for working animals, for donkeys and horses who needs care and shelter. So we provide shelter for them. We provide veterinary services for all animals who needs treatment, and as well as we provide, we do awareness and educating people who work on animals, especially the animals who work in pickens in this situation. So we educate them, we train them, we tell them about animal welfare, the freedoms of welfare that the animals need, like freedom from thirst, discomfort, freedom from distress, pain, injury. So we educate people as well. Despite these activities, we train veterinary students from Kabul University, from institutes, and those are freshly graduated. So for training. We train them, and we try to train them how to treat animals in need and sick animals, and as well as what is the animal welfare and what they have to do with the animals in need. So these are the activities in Afghanistan that we are doing.
Thank you so much for the work. I know it's not easy to work on animal welfare, and especially in the conflict zones when the war happens. Also, can you share with us how does the conflict and war impact the welfare of dogs in cats, and what are some of the unique challenges faced by animal welfare organizations in providing care and support for cats and dogs in the war zones?
The conflict and war impact on animal welfare of dog and cat. I would like to mention that the first thing that I've seen here is displacement. Like the owners left their pets and the separation from their owners. They left Afghanistan, leaving their pets in Afghanistan. The first thing I faced this one. Like we had a dog in our shelter. His owner left him, and during that, his owner left him, and he was with us for a long time. And fortunately, we rehome him back, and they reunited with his owner. So, like him, there's a lot of pets like that. The owner left him here in Afghanistan. The first thing is this. The second thing I would like to mention is injuries and trauma. During 1.5 years ago, at the start of that, we saw and we had cases of we had not a lot of cases, but we had cases of injuries from gunshot. We rescued the dog and treated him, and I would say this is the second case that we faced for that. And diseases and illnesses also I would like to mention about that as well. And the main thing is a shortage of supplies. So these are, from my opinion, and I said these are the things that these are the conflict and war impact on animal welfare and dogs and cats. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to add there as well, and Dr. Rashad has made some very good points. The abandonment of animals. So we saw a lot of this in Afghanistan prior to the Taliban retaking power in August 2021. And then we now see this in Ukraine, where Nowzad is also working with families desperately fleeing the fighting, especially in the east of Ukraine. And at times, the missiles are coming in. They just don't have time to collect their pets. And so we've seen a lot of animals that have been abandoned that now need care and attention, and also somewhere to be sheltered. And the Ukraine is literally running out of space to shelter the amount of animals that are now homeless and fending for themselves. And especially in this period of time now, winter, East Ukrainian winter is not something to be scoffed at. It is very, very harsh. I'd say probably harsher than the winters I've had in Afghanistan. And the other thing that Dr. Rashad said, which definitely needs attention, is the lack of supplies. Myself and Dr. Rashad, we bang our heads from the desk so many times about how do we get supplies to where they are needed. Sadly, Afghanistan is still recovering from the events of August 2021. So bringing supplies in is a huge problem, and the same in Ukraine. We can't get supplies where they're needed. You've got to put people in danger because they have to drive to the conflict areas because that's where the supplies are needed. So these are all issues that we have to attempt to work around to make sure that we can deliver the animal welfare aid that we've promised. So, yeah, it's never a straightforward endeavour, and Dr. Rashad can definitely testify to that. And I think also the impact is the lack of funds. We found that people are very, very generous in the initial phases of a conflict because the conflict is on the news. But now, sadly for us, Afghanistan is never on the news anymore. I haven't seen it on the BBC news page now for months. And so people think, well, it just goes from their minds. And so we end up really struggling for funding because we have to keep reminding people, actually, Afghanistan is still there. People and animals still need your help. So they're just some of the issues that we have to face.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that with us. So I think as you mentioned before about the Linux in the animal hospital that's Nowzad started in Afghanistan and I think in Ukraine as well. So can you tell us more about the importance of it and how it supports not just the animals but the owners as well?
So for us, I'll quickly start, and then I know Dr. Rashad will want to finish this off. But without having a place where you can actually take the animals, it's impossible to operate. We need somewhere physical that is sheltered, that is safe. But we've got to be able to keep that place going. It's got to be somewhere where it's clean, it's practical. And so for us, establishing an animal clinic, which has now thankfully become an animal hospital, was a priority in Afghanistan. And we're trying to do the same in Ukraine with the various animal hospitals that are already there. Remember, in Afghanistan, there was no animal clinics at all until Nowzad came along. So we're trying to expand that role to actually have somewhere safe to operate from. And I know Dr. Rashad could talk about our animal hospital all day because he's done such a good job in setting it up.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I would like to add that about the role of veterinary clinics in hospitals by Nowzad is, I'm so thankful. I'm so glad that now we are 24 hours running hospital, and it's the first hospital in Afghanistan. The role of veterinary in hospital in Afghanistan is the first thing, that preventive care and vaccination, providing preventive care and vaccination. We provide vaccines against rabies disease, especially rabies disease and other diseases as well, especially rabies disease for free for everyone. And we are vaccinating dogs and cats and equines to cut that chain of rabies and that are spreading between the animals and humans. So as you know, rabies is a zoonotic disease, and it spreads between animal and human, and to human as well. So we are indirectly trying to help human as well. And another role is diagnostic and treatment. We rescue, I would like to say that we rescue every day one animal, either it's a dog or a cat or a horse or a donkey. So rescue them and treat after and treating them. This is an important role of Nowzad Hospital here in Afghanistan. And we have a lab here which where we can do tests for diagnosis. We have different tests here in Afghanistan for now, and we are doing that test, and after diagnosing, we're doing treatment of that diseases. Another role is emergency cases. We had emergency cases, like car accidents or animals suffering from illness like dehydration and other disease, sickness like that. And I would say that fortunately, it's a very good that we are receiving calls that are informing us that here is a dog that needs help, and our team goes there and rescue that dog or cat or any animal in need. This is a big change that we have noticed, that we are receiving calls and they are informing us about the animal in need. And as well as we had cases here that people are trying to bring by their own. We have clients during night, and the situation we have clients during night, and they are bringing by their own. They are bringing cats and dogs to our hospital to treat them. So this is a big change in animal welfare. Also, our hospital provide dental care that the animals who needs dental cleaning and other cases of dental cases we do treat here. And as well as I would like to add the end point that this is the bad it's the bad point of my field, that we do end of life care, which I really, some cases we don't have any other choice. We provide end of life care, like we do, unfortunately, we do put them to sleep. The cases, it's not treatable. So just to give him a very soft say, or to end their life who are in intense pain or severe pain.
Right, I think that's very important to emphasize, isn't it? The end of life care. We see so many animals, don't we, that sadly have been hit by a car out on the streets in Afghanistan, or sadly at the end with disease that's ravaged them, and we get them too late. And so actually being there for them, just to do that, that the kindest act, which is to put them to sleep humanely, so they don't suffer anymore. I think it's one of the saddest things we have to do, but it's also one of the most important things that we have to do as a veterinary clinic and hospital, isn't it?
I agree with you. And it's heartbreaking to hear about those cases. And but I think also it's very amazing that the local started to care more about their animals. Like you mentioned that they bring their animals to the line to the hospital for treatment. I know that it's difficult for people to survive or to care for themselves in those conflicted zones, but it's awesome that they also care about their animal as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So can you share with us like how now this like do you also like cooperate with like the humanitarian organization to like support the locals as well, or to promote the animal welfare there?
Yeah, so we have to, we look at what's going on. So whether it be in Ukraine or whether it's in Afghanistan, and what can we do that's going to help those people that are struggling, whether they are fleeing, especially in Ukraine, whether they are fleeing an area particularly, or those people who try and stay. And so in Afghanistan, people who stay, we prioritize, what do they need? And one of the biggest issues at the moment is the spread of rabies. And Dr. Rashad, for his work, and the team there, they've just won a rabies award for their work to highlight what they've been doing to prevent the spread of that disease. Because once rabies takes hold, it is very, very difficult to then stop that spread. So it's all about, for us, prevention. So prioritizing how we can help those people. And the same now in Ukraine. We've seen a couple of cases now of rabies because normal society has broken down. There hasn't been the mass TNVR programs, trap, vaccinate, neuter, return programs that help prevent the spread of rabies. And so we're now starting to see isolated cases. So for us, it's all about the disease prevention. If we can stop the spread of that disease, that's one less thing that the human population has to worry about. And so that's where Dr. Rashad's team spend a lot of their time, is rabies prevention. And I love getting the photos off Dr. Rashad where the team are out on the ground in Kabul, spreading the message, giving out posters. preventing, they're preventing rabies, at the coal face, as we used to say. So, that's that's what we love doing. So, and that's what Dr. Shad, I know, is very good at. Yeah, they are very good at getting out there and meeting the people and explaining, and making it. A lot of people have, sadly, there's not been a lot of education in Afghanistan. So Dr. Shad had to start from scratch and explaining why it's important. And seeing him do that, makes me so proud. The team are out there on the ground doing, getting out there and making sure people are safe from rabies. And they're not always met with, people happy to see them. So it's a very difficult situation at times.
So, Doctor, Research, can you please share with me like a story or a highlight experience that you have about communicating with the locals and tell them or teach them about animal welfare or
I would like to share my two experiences that I faced. One is a very bad experience, very sad experience, that once there was a rabbit dog in one of our districts in Kabul city, and he bit a child, and the father of the child didn't know what to do when it was too late, and that child showing the signs of the rabies. He just he met us and shared the whole story with us. I saw that child who was suffering from rabies, and therefore I am so I will work hard and I will do my best to prevent every children from this disease, from rabies. And one of my experience was that I saw that child suffering from rabies, and that was a very sad days of my life. So after that, I'm struggling hard. I'm trying to do my best to do anything against rabies. So now we are doing vaccination against rabies. Whoever bring their animal to a hospital, vaccination against rabies. And also we are educating them. His father didn't know where to take his son. And we have seen a lot of cases like that they bring their child to our hospital and please vaccinate their child, because they don't know where to take their child once they've been by a dog. So therefore, we are trying to do educating them and doing our awareness program in a very good way. And it's very important to do that awareness and educating people. My another experience was that I received a call that there's puppies who was suffering, and it was raining, hardly raining, and the puppies were suffering there on the street. And I received a call from a lady that these puppies need help. Once I went there to rescue those puppies, the ladies who were there, they also helped us on the streets, under rain, heavy raining. We all together, we rescued all the puppies. So that was very good. I saw that here, this is the changes. We are seeing changes, positive changes, that even in this situation, that ladies and the females are trying to help us to rescue those poor puppies. And also, and as well as that, the story of the dog that I shared just a few minutes ago, that the people tried to make a shelter for that dog who was hit by a car, and make a plastic shelter for the dog until our arrival and when it was snowing. So these were my experiences, the cases that I saw and faced during my work now. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing the story with me. It's very emotional, and I think it's sometimes quite unfortunately that not so many people are aware of rabies or know how to prevent it. But the latest story is is very great because like the community they come in together to help and support the animal. Um, so I think that's the public education is very important, like to to spread awareness about rabies and about animal welfare. So can you tell us more about the programs in Afghanistan or even in Ukraine as well that related to like the public education? I hope that like in Afghanistan now that had program for the secondary school.
So with obviously Afghanistan, it's now an emerging, new government, regardless of what you think of the Taliban. The West put the Taliban back in power. So, we have to be dealt, have to deal with the cards that we've been dealt. So the Taliban, like any other government, wants to see NGOs and groups working for the benefit of the people. And so that is what we're trying to do. And for us, it's all about animal welfare. So how do we help the animals? Well, we have to educate the people. So Dr. Shad and the team spend a lot of time, as we talked about just previously, out on the ground, actually meeting people, and explaining to them the benefits of having a dog vaccinated against rabies. With the working animals, looking after their donkeys and horses, giving them good food, having them vaccinated. A lot of people, forget that a horse needs to be vaccinated, a donkey needs to be vaccinated. Providing decent water supplies so that the donkey and horse, just like us, if you're working away, you need to have a good intake of water, and so does a horse and a donkey. So for us, it's all about that education system, and what we can do to bring that to the front, to the people. And same in Ukraine, we just have a bit more of a deeper problem in Ukraine because there is so much of the population on the move trying to flee the fighting. So actually being in one place long enough to provide any form of stable program is actually quite difficult, because you never know if that population is about to just move because sadly the Russian invasion is encroaching further on Ukrainian land, or there'll be a missile attack. So it's two very different countries, but we try and push out that same message, and it's always about the education, providing animal welfare, and rabies. Rabies is always at the top of our list for Nowzad and what we do, rabies prevention.
Okay, thank you so much for the work. Can you share with us more about like how Nowzad advocate for policy changes and legislation to improve the animal welfare in those two countries and like the impact that it has so far?
Again, so Dr. Shad will be the best to talk about Afghanistan. But just for my 5 pence worth is, in a moment in Afghanistan, I said it's a new government. So Dr. Rashad is having to find his way again with new people in the different positions. Afghanistan has an animal health directorate. It has a Ministry of Agriculture. So it's going into these places now, which are all headed up by new people since the events of August 2021, when the Taliban came back to power. So he's having to go in and basically we're starting again. We're having to go in and work to prove that the job that we do is important, that it's needed, and also find out what the government wants. What do they want with animal welfare? And we were so impressed that just in the last few months we were given permission to open a 24-hour animal hospital. So that's given us a fair bit of hope for the future of animal welfare in Afghanistan, but it is still very, very early days. I don't know if Dr. Rashad, if you've got any comments on animal welfare policies that the government has or that you would like to see implemented in the in the coming months and years.
Yes, I completely agree with you. New people, and animal health directorate and Ministry of Agriculture. and we are trying to convince them. And it's a good hope that we have started animal hospital. We would like to we are working on that, and we are doing welfare presentations, welfare for education purposes, and all schools in Kabul city. And we're trying to just to educate everyone here in Kabul against rabies and animal welfare, what animal needs and what to do with animals and what animals deserve. So this is in our plan, and we are trying to do that.
Thank you for the story. And Dr. Nowzad, can you discuss more with us about the importance of adoption in fostering animal in Afghanistan, and how can you get the community get involved with the program?
Yeah, so fostering and adopting, I mean, that was one of the things that Nowzad did a lot of before August 2021. In Afghanistan, we find that a lot of Afghan people love cats, don't they, Dr. Rashad? Afghans love cats. Absolutely love cats. So we see a lot of adoptions with cats, but we don't see them so much with dogs, and that's really just down to a kind of a different cultural attitude. A dog would be used more as a guard dog, so somebody would have a dog that lived outside in their compound. Afghan dogs are very territorial and very loyal, so the dog would basically be a guard dog. So very much not as we would have here in the West, where the dog would live in the house with you and not really be used as a guard dog. Although my personal dogs I've got here, you can't get within 100 meters of my house and they're barking away even when they're sat in the living room with me. So but yeah, so it's a different culture. So we've struggled with dog adoptions in Afghanistan unless we have a dog that is not really suited to being indoors, prefers, as some of the Afghan dogs do, they prefer living outside. And then that's fine. But if we've got a really cuddly, loving dog that just loves, being around people, and it's not probably going to work so well in Afghanistan. So all of our dogs pre-August 2021, we normally exported them and brought them over to the West to find a loving home. At the moment, we can't do that so much because we're struggling with getting the flights out of Afghanistan. It's not an easy process anymore. Not all of the airlines fly back into Afghanistan still. And then in Ukraine, it's the same kind of issue. People would have dogs, but the dogs would be left to do their own things. Your dog, if it was your dog, you'd have a collar on it, and I see it all the time in Ukraine. The dogs just wander the streets, and then they'll come back home, get fed, and then they'll carry on doing their little patrols and wandering around. So I think the adoption and the fostering for us, in Afghanistan and Ukraine, we have to very much look at the local kind of culture and how people, have that relationship with dogs. Whereas we tend to, from England and America, we tend to put, and probably Western Europe, we tend to put this totally different image on a dog and a cat, as living in the home and, sat on the sofa watching television with you. Whereas that's not really what happens in Afghanistan or Ukraine. So we definitely, we do have a few adoptions that happen as we would like, but otherwise, a lot of the time we have to adapt and overcome to what happens and what the culture is, and that's what dictates it for us. We don't want to try and stamp a Western way of living on a country that has its own way of doing things. That's just wrong for us to try and stamp our way of doing it on them. Totally. Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? It's hard trying to find the right adoption in Afghanistan, but yeah, it's we get there sometimes, don't we?
Thank you, sir. I completely agree with you, sir.
In if you have a story to share with us, we can voice locals about that.
Okay, I mean, I have my favorite one from Afghanistan was we had a guy that came into the clinic and he wanted to adopt one of our cats, and we still put our authority on it, as in we don't just go, well, here's a cat, and off you go and you walk out with it. Obviously, all our cats are neutered and spayed. They're all vaccinated, and we offer free rabies vaccinations in Afghanistan. We never charge for a rabies vaccine. So he wanted this cat. We said, great, we're going to do a home check. So our team went to his house, checked out his house, asked him how he's going to look after the cat and everything. Yeah, and he passed all the checks, and we were like, okay, cool, you can have a cat. And our team went out to take the cat to him, and there he was sat with the cat, actually, on his bed. He sat there on his bed with his cat, and the cat's, liking him. And so he asked him, he said, what are you going to call your cat? Think he's going to come up with some lovely Dari name for a cat. And he said, I'm going to call it Pashak. And we all just burst out laughing, because in Dari, Pashak means cat. So he's literally just calling his cat.
I think the guy sound like me when I was a kid, because when I was just a little kid, I called all of my cat meow, and it's just the sound of the cat. I just couldn't think of a better name for them, so that's all.
I like that. I wonder how many people are going to call their dogs Bark now. That'll be it. The next dog will be Bark. We're going to do that for you. We'll name our next dog in Afghanistan Bark.
Yes, okay. I think some people in our countries in Vietnam, like they also call their dog like that, like but it's not the word pack. It means like go in Vietnam, but it's the sound of dog, so it's so sad at the name as well.
Yeah, but I like it.
Yeah. An interesting story on how you get the local people to get involved with adoption, like how to encourage them to care more about their animals. All the animals there, like dog and cat or even donkeys.
I do not have any funny story like that, but I'd like to share about adoptions here in Afghanistan. We have a lot of fortunately, cats we have adoptions for cats here, but unfortunately not that much for dogs. And the procedure of giving them for adoption is when they come to our hospital, to a shelter, and when they choose one of our cats, and the cats are fully vaccinated, they are spayed and neutered, and they come 3 to 4 times here in our shelter and play with the cat, so that they should be familiar with the cat and the cat should be familiar with him or her. And then we do a check on we go to their home to check where they are keeping the cat and how the situation. Once it's approved and they are keeping them in a very good way, then we give them for adoption. The cat should be the cat or the dog should be fully vaccinated and should be vaccinated against rabies. They should be neutered or sprayed, and we are providing them 1 year free veterinary services for the cat. And we ask for updates every time, and we visit to the house. Our team go to their house to see the situation of the cat there. This is our procedure for giving them for adoption or for fostering, but I don't have that any story like that. But we are. It's very good that we have adoptions for cats here now.
Yes, it's very good, isn't it? I absolutely love the fact that we have basically an outlet for the cats to go to. I think that's so cool. So yeah, hopefully it continues.
Yeah, thank you to for all the awesome adoption story. It's always lovely to hear people like care about animal and want to help them. So I think as we wrapping up our conversation, can you tell us how the community people outside of Afghanistan and Ukraine can support your work or contribute to help to help animal deaths? Is there any program that we can join or contribute?
So our basically our people in Afghanistan, it's very difficult to operate. I mean, the stress that people are under, as obviously a new government, finds their feet and takes charge, and puts their stamp on the way that society operates. And sadly, it's not all been for the best, as they've come into power. I think there's not a lot directly people can do to support. And I hate to say this, but sadly, the only way to support is through donations, because donations ensures that Dr. Rashad and his team actually then have the supplies and the equipment and the resources they need to look after the animals in their care. One of I think the biggest issues for us, and it does become a kind of a mental health issue, because it becomes very stressful when you're also struggling. Dr. Rashad needs, whatever it is, a supply of rabies vaccines, and I have to say to him, well, actually, no, because we just don't have that money at the moment. Can you reduce the quantity that you need? And so then that becomes a stress for him, because actually he has to make a choice. Do I vaccinate this area of Kabul, or do I vaccinate this area? I can't do, he can't do both. We see the same in Ukraine as well. There are so many different shelters that need support, whether it be animal food, whether it be animal medication, whether it be vaccinations, because they've got so many dogs that aren't neutered and vaccinated. So for us, it's just that, in fact, being able to give the relevant groups, whether it be Dr. Rashad in Afghanistan or whether it be our teams out in Ukraine, the supplies and the support they need. And that just helps them with having one less thing to worry about, I think. I can't really say it any other way than that. I hate saying it. Just sadly, one of the things as a charity, and I know, Animals Asia, has the same, issues. It's always, we need the donations so that we can actually provide that animal welfare that's needed. So for us, that's where it is at. If we can help Dr. Rashad by supplying him with, the resources he needs, then I know that's one less headache for him, and he can actually do the job he loves. I mean, I've never met anybody as dedicated and passionate about animal welfare as Dr. Rashad. So if I can help him by getting the stuff to him, then I think I'm somewhat helping relieve just a tiny little bit of stress from your daily life. What do you think, Dr. Rashad?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think so. That's where I think we're at with obviously the well-being of the animals and their carers. Just being able to help them from our very kind of stress-free place here in the West. Really, we're not at war. We're not having to dodge bombs and all that kind of just horrible stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I totally understand that our funding is always the main issues, and I understand the lack of supplies over there, and I know that is a very difficult decisions to choose between which areas to do the vaccination and which animal to size. It must be very stressful and frustrating as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So do you have any last word to say to our audience?
I think just for me, it's all about the fact that we, and I don't just mean we as in me, but I mean we as in all the people who donate to Nowzad. It just gives us the opportunity to start providing animal welfare. We're never going to solve all the problems in Afghanistan or in Ukraine for animal welfare, this year, next year, in 10 years' time. It's an ongoing process, but every year we just make a little bit more of a difference. And again, it's the we as all our supporters. Everybody has a role to play, and everybody has done something that's a positive impact. Whether they've donated £1, whether they've fundraised for us, whether they've spread the story. We publish one of our stories so other people hear about what we do. And for me, I just absolutely love that, the fact that everybody comes together to make a difference. In a country they've never visited. Most people have never been to Afghanistan. Most people have never been to Ukraine. Yet, they donate day in, day out for us, fundraise for us. I just think that's absolutely just amazing. I love it. And I just really want to thank everybody for all the support they've given Nowzad in the last 17 years to keep us going, to keep us, right up there. We're chasing the tails of Animals Asia. That's what we're doing. We're chasing your tails in animal welfare. So, yeah.
Yeah, but it's right that after working with Nowzad and everyone devise their condition, they still care about their animals.
Yeah, the people have, they do a lot in Afghanistan. They have to endure a lot. So I'm just so proud of Dr. Rashad and the team for not only looking after their own families and that, but actually caring enough that they want to go out and make a difference for all the animals that they see. So it's absolutely amazing.
Thank you so much, Ben and Dr. Nowzad, for joining us today. It's amazing to have you with us.
Yeah, no problem at all. It was an absolute pleasure. Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening. You can find everything you need to know about our work and connect with us at asiaforanimals.com. Tune in for the next episode. Asia for Animals Coalition, a united voice for Asia's animals.